My sister is engaged to a guy our family has never met again. This is going to be long, so sorry for that. To give a bit of background, my 27F sister, 34F, has never been lucky in love, and she is also a very private person. She has 2 wonderful kids from a relationship she was in over 13 years ago. They were engaged but decided to separate due to the dad never being there for her, and now the dad never comes around or has anything to do with his kids. After she broke things off with him, she pursued another relationship not long after, and it lasted about 6 years. They were never engaged, that we know of. And the guy never came around much, so we barely knew him, and when he did come around he would say maybe 2 words and that was it. After that didn't work out, she met another guy locally that came to her job one day and asked her out. He was a little bit older than her by like 10 or so years, but things were good as far as we knew. He had a stable job and 2 kids. He was strange, but nothing seemed seriously wrong until we found out he was an alcoholic and saw him go out to his car to drink during family events, and we found out his mom committed suicide years before they got engaged, but she broke things off when she realized he had issues with alcohol. We grew up with an alcoholic and drug addict father, so she knew that this was the wrong path to go down if she wanted any hope for happiness. Well, some months passed and they rekindled the relationship because he supposedly quit drinking, and they got married in August of 2020. They were not even married a year when she came to stay with me and her 2 kids and 2 dogs. Not that I minded helping her, but even before the divorce was finalized, she was seeing a new guy. This guy was someone she met through a friend at church, and he lived over an hour away from her. So she was constantly driving back and forth to see him. She left her kids with me on Christmas to go see him because he had the flu. He was a recovering addict from pills and meth. He relapsed on her birthday and then overdosed 1 month later on my son's 1st birthday. We had no idea they were engaged until it was posted in his obituary. 7 months later, her ex-husband committed suicide 7 years to the day that his mother did. She gave herself a year to grieve the losses. She did not go to her ex-husband's funeral but went to the guys after him who she was only with for maybe a year. She even got a tattoo to commemorate him. We never met him and didn't know who he was until he died suddenly, and she became depressed. She is already a private person, so this made it 10 times worse. She started going to another church in another town an hour away. She got introduced to another recovering addict who none of my family has met aside from my niece, who isn't a fan of him. We find out in a group text that they are engaged, but her kids didn't know yet, so she told us, "Don't tell them." He has been in rehab for the last 2 years of the 2.5 that they have known each other, so how they have gotten to know each other personally is beyond me. He has a daughter and she was there when he proposed to her in church, but neither of her kids were there or involved. I told her that if he gave any type of shit about her family, then we would have already met him and her kids would have been there. I also told her it's ridiculous that we haven't met him, nor has her son. She claims it was a surprise and she had no clue, but we found out she told my niece she was not allowed to go to church that particular day. She also told my mom and I that we were the first people to know, but her church group posted pictures of them after the engagement. Obviously this hurts us. My nephew is done with her and wants nothing to do with the guy or any others she plans to have. My nephew is 16 and is going down the wrong path because he has no one. My sister is always leaving him home alone and never involves him. I told him that my husband and I would gladly take him and my niece in if that's what he needed or wants. My sister is a fixer. It's in her blood, but she is always picking the worst people to fix. If it was just her life, I wouldn't care, but I don't want my niece or nephew to be around any more men. They need stability. And lots or therapy. How can I get my sister to wake up before she ruins any relationship she has with her kids and her other family? She is completely clueless and I'm desperate to do something. Comment number 1. It's clear that you're very concerned about your sister's choices and their impact on her children. To help her see the potential consequences and make better decisions, you could consider the following steps. 1. Open and honest communication. Sit down with your sister and have an open, non-confrontational conversation about your concerns. Express your worries about her choices and how they're affecting her children. 2. Offer support. Let her know that you're there for her and her children, both emotionally and practically. Offer help with childcare and a stable environment for the kids, as you mentioned. 3. Suggest professional help. Encourage her to seek counseling or therapy, both individually and potentially with her children. Therapy can help her address her past and make healthier choices. 4. Set boundaries. Explain the boundaries you and your family need to maintain for your own well-being and the well-being of her children. Make it clear what you can and can't accept. 5. Be patient. Changing behavior and making better choices can be a long process. Support her in her journey towards healthier relationships and decisions. Ultimately, your sister needs to realize the importance of her children's well-being and make the choice to prioritize them over tumultuous relationships. Your role is to be there for her and her kids, but you can't control her decisions. Encourage her to seek help and support, and hope that she'll make the right choices for her family's sake.